Today we're going to talk about 10 bad writing habits. I don't like to talk about bad writing, it's just bad habits. Your writing might be amazing, filled with imagination, filled with details, filled with everything you need to make a story come alive. But unfortunately, some of these bad writing habits are throwing your reader off. They don't see how brilliant your writing is because of these very easy to avoid bad writing habits. So let's break those habits today. Number 1, a big problem is when you start all your sentences the same. Look at your last scene. Do you have a lot of sentences starting with I? Do you have a lot of sentences starting with your main character's name, he, she, they? If you are starting many sentences differently, but your subject is always the main character, again, you have to switch that up. You might say, what do you mean by subject? The person who's doing the action. We are seeing things through the character's lens. So you're saying what they observe. Just think of your own thought process. When you're going through your day, are you like, I? Probably not, unless you're a narcissist. Usually you're observing people. My neighbor looks a little funny today. Why is that dog always sitting there? That's where embodying your character is really key, so that you're really imagining, looking out through their eyes and experiencing their world. Number 2, in fiction, you need paragraphs that are indented, no space between. And believe me, this is just a bad habit because you're gonna have to erase each one of those spaces between your paragraphs, especially if you're adding it manually. Oh my goodness, 300 pages later, you'll be like, delete, delete, delete. Number 3, avoid starts to. She starts to head up the stairs. No, she heads up the stairs. It's just stronger. We know that the action just started because that person wasn't doing that before. Number 4, avoid adding a gerund at the beginning of your sentence. Let me give you an example. Mark took out the trash. Standing up slowly, Suzanne stared at him. Until I said Suzanne, you thought standing up slowly was Mark's action. It would have been better to say Susan stood up, staring at him, or Susan stood up and stared at him. Remember, when you do a gerund, an ing, you're implying that the two happen simultaneously. So that's another problem with a gerund. If your ing word is not happening at the exact same time as the other action, now we're confused. Let me give you an example. Riding her horse, Kim sat up higher in the saddle. Okay, that's fine. Turning to look over her shoulder, she rode on. It means at the same time I'm riding my horse and I'm looking over my shoulder. If that's not what you mean, if one happens and then the next, don't use gerunds. Number 5, avoid sense words. I see, I hear, I smell, I touch. Instead, say what the person is experiencing. I see a hawk flying above our heads. A hawk screeches above. Stronger. Sounds a little scarier. Number 6, learn punctuation for dialogue. That's something that a grammar and spell check cannot fix very easily. And it's a massive hassle to fix later, so you just have to learn it. You need quotations around your dialogue, and you don't have a space after the first quotation mark. It presses right together with the word. And same with on the other end. You need a comma or a period and then quotation mark and the word. All pressed in, no space. Another thing with dialogue is that people are saying said, responded, replied. In 3rd grade, you had a teacher who said, you need a lot of synonyms for said. Eliminate the dialogue tag if you can. If there's 2 people talking, you just set it up and then boom, 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 boom. You don't need she said, he said, she said. With your dialogue, give us a visual. Show us what the person is doing. So you could say, get out of here, she said. Or you could say, get out of here. She waved her coffee cup at him, and a droplet of coffee flew through the air and landed on his pristine white shirt. Now, to avoid confusion, you do need, every time a new person talks, to have a new paragraph. That way we know it's jumping back and forth. You don't swim it all together because then we're like, did that person say that or that person? Number 7, let's talk about body language mistakes. You can really make a scene come alive with accurate body language. You have the cliches of the clenched fists, she froze, she nodded. Body language is automatic. It's an automatic response to internal feelings. Sometimes if someone's super self-aware, they might be like, oh, I just did that weird thing. In general, show what other people do. With body language, we don't know what we do. In fact, I didn't even know, right now I'm thinking about my body language, so I'm like, what's that weird thing, right? But normally we don't even think about it. We just do all this stuff with our bodies and we're not aware. We notice other people doing it. So very rarely will your character know what they're doing unless somebody says, why are you doing that weird thing, right? Number 8. Avoid there is, there were, there was a bluebird singing in a cage. You could say a bluebird sang in a cage. You eliminate words and it's tighter. Number 9. Avoid ly adverbs. If you can, you could use a stronger verb. Instead of he walked slowly, you would say he sauntered or he trudged. Number 10. Avoid weak verbs. Have or had. Get or got. Is, was, were. Go, went. These words don't really give you a great visual picture. She had a donut. She wolfed down a donut. Shows more personality. What verbs could you use instead of those verbs that would make your scene come alive? See if you could use maybe stronger verbs. The exact action that you're going for. That's 10 bad writing habits. Let's break those habits today. Good luck.